What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 202 of the Idiotic Sports Talk. I'm your host, Liam Gavin, coming to you live from my bedroom, and I'm here to give you all the Week 11 recap around the NFL. A lot of crazy stuff happening, a lot of drama, star players getting injured for the season, a lot of classic battles between rivals, just a lot of good stuff. So we're going to unfold it all here, and we'll start with the Thursday game. The Ravens beat the Bengals 34-20. Lamar Jackson, 264 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He also had 50 rushing yards, and as for Gus Edwards, he had 62 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Odell Beckham Jr., 4 catches for 116, and Nelson Aguilar and Rashad Bateman each had a touchdown catch. As for Joe Burrow, the Bengals, 101 passing, a touchdown, no interceptions, but he left with a wrist injury, so in comes the backup Jake Browning, who threw for 68 yards, a touchdown, and no picks. Joe Mixon also had 69 rushing yards and a receiving score, and Jamar Chase with a touchdown catch. So the Ravens are now 8-3. They sweep their divisional rival of the season, but this game left both teams battered, bruised, and beat up. The Ravens had 421 total yards of offense. They ran the ball really well for 157. They were 6-12 on third down, and they protected the ball with no turnovers. The defense, they didn't force any turnovers, but they did have 5 sacks, and they stopped third down really well. And the Ravens overcame 9 penalties for 110 yards also. And as for the Bengals, they had 305 total yards of offense, 136 of them rushing, and no turnovers. But they were awful on third down. They're just 2 of 11, and the defense didn't force any turnovers. They did have 3 sacks, but they gave up 400-plus yards and 34 points. So injuries, they robbed us of a potential great Thursday night football game. The Ravens lose their star tight end, Mark Andrews, for the season with a ankle injury. And outside of Lamar Jackson, he was their best weapon on offense. He is definitely a top 3 tight end in this league. And the Bengals lose a star too. They lose their quarterback, Joe Burrow, for the season with a torn ligament in his wrist. Burrow exited the game in the second quarter while they were leading 10-7, and he couldn't grip the football at all. 2 detrimental injuries that could change the course of the season for both teams. And outside of Andrews, the Ravens receiving core struggles. So who's going to be that next guy to step up? The Bengals, they're 5-5. They're now slowly starting to see their playoff picture fade away. But Jake Browning played pretty good. Is he good enough to help them make that postseason push? I guess we'll find out. Obviously, he's not Joe Burrow, but you never know. So we'll see who can overcome these injuries, especially in a loaded NFC or AFC North division with the Steelers and Browns also playing good, and a speedy recovery to both Andrews and Joey B. On a Sunday, we got the Browns beating the Steelers 13-10. The rookie Dorian Thompson-Robinson, 165 passing, no touchdowns and a pick. Jerome Ford had a touchdown rushing. And Elijah Moore, 6 catches for 60 yards. As for Kenny Pickett of the Steelers, 106 passing, no touchdowns, no picks. Jalen Warren, the running back, 129 rushing and a touchdown. So this was another AFC North game that was played very well between 2 rivals. Not a lot of offense, but some very good smash-mouth defense. The Browns emerged victorious. They're now 7-3, and them and Pittsburgh split the series. They split the series 1-1 between the both of them. The third string rookie, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he got his first career start, or his first career game-winning drive. He led the offense downfield for a game-winning field goal in the final minutes. The Browns offense, just 261 total yards, 96 rushing yards. They're 417 on third down, but like I said, the defense had a game. The defense had 3 sacks, and they gave up less than 300 yards for just 10 points. The Steelers were down 10-0, and they tied it 10-10 late in the game. And I said to myself, are they going to win another game that happens in the fourth quarter? Because they've been doing this all season long. I was like, no way do they do this again. But their offense was absolutely horrible. The run game was good. They ran for 172. But they had 278 total yards. The passing game was just very, very bad. The defense had a sack and a pick, though. They played decent, and now the Steelers are 6-4. So the next game, the Dolphins beat the Raiders 20-13. Tua Tagovailoa, 325 passing, 2 touchdowns, a pick, and a fumble. Tyreek Hill, 10 catches for 146 and a touchdown. And for the Raiders, rookie quarterback Aiden O'Connell, 271, a touchdown, 3 interceptions, and Devontae Adams, 7 catches for 82 yards and a score. So the Dolphins come off their bye week with a win. They improved to 7-3. The offense, 425 yards. They ran for 99 yards, and the defense had 2 sacks, 3 picks. They stopped the run very well and just gave up 13 points. Jalen Ramsey called game with a pick in the end zone in the fourth quarter. He also had another pick prior to that in the third quarter, and there's no such thing as moral victories, but the Raiders played very well. They were in the game the entire time. I expected them to get smoked, and I expected them to get blown out, but they didn't. And Antonio Pierce really has that squad playing tough for him. Their offense had 307 total yards. They couldn't run the ball, though. They were horrible. 36 yards rushing. They were 4 of 14 on third down, 0 for 2 on fourth down, and they had 3 picks, and that's not going to contribute to a win. Their defense had a sack, an interception, 2 fumbles, but they gave up 400-plus yards, and they could not stop Tyreek Hill. The Raiders are now 5-6. The Lions beat the Bears 31-26. Jared Goff, 236 passing, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. David Montgomery, 76 rushing yards and a score. The rookie Jahmyr Gibbs had a rushing touchdown, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Justin Fields makes his return for the Bears, 169 passing, no touchdowns, but 104 rushing yards. DJ Moore had 7 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. So what a wild, down-to-the-wire, back-and-forth game. It results in a Lions win as they beat their division rival, and they now are 8-2. The last time the Lions were 8-2, President John F. Kennedy was still around. He was still the president of the United States, which is absolutely mind-blowing. A crazy stat that I saw. And the Lions, they had 4 turnovers on offense. They had 3 picks and a muff punt. And they trailed 26-14 in this game with 4 minutes remaining left in the fourth quarter, and they came back. The former Bears running back, now Lions running back, David Montgomery, he iced the game with a touchdown as 30 seconds remained. The offense had 351 total yards. The run game continues to go off for 115, and they were 8-11 on third down. Their defense had 2 sacks and a fumble as well. And a crazy stat, the time of possession, Chicago had 40 minutes of control time, and Detroit only had 19 minutes, but Detroit still won. The Bears offense, they had 353 total yards. The run game took off for 183. The defense had 2 sacks, 3 picks, and 1 fumble. But the Bears did everything right to win this game, but they still lost. 15 points given up in the last 4 minutes of the game. Their offense went 3 and out in the span of that time, and they just had a meltdown, and the Bears are now 3-8. The next game on the slate, the Jaguars beat the Titans 34-14. Trevor Lawrence, 262 passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He also had 2 rushing scores. Calvin Ridley, 7 catches for 103 and 2 scores. And the rookie Will Levis of the Titans, 158 passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 fumble, and DeAndre Hopkins with a touchdown catch. So the Jags are able to bounce back after getting blown out last week. They beat their division rival. They go to 7-3 on the year, and just a dominant performance. It wasn't even remotely close. The Jags led 27-0 at one point in the third. The offense, 390 yards, 128 of them rushing. Clean football with no turnovers. Trevor Lawrence protected the ball. Calvin Ridley finally showed up. And the Jags, 24 first downs. Tennessee had 12 first downs. The time of possession, Jags had 36 minutes. The Titans had 23. And all around, just a beatdown by the Jags. Defense, 2 sacks, 2 fumbles. They gave up 250 yards for just 14 points. And I said the Jags defense would feast on the young rookie, and they did. The Titans offense struggled. They had 250 yards, 92 rushing yards, and they just couldn't get anything going. They had 38 total plays while the Jags had 64. The defense had a sack, but they couldn't force a turnover, and they gave up 34 points for almost 400 yards. They are now 3-7. Next, the Packers beat the Chargers 23-20. Jordan Love, 322 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Romeo Doubs, 5 catches, 53 yards, and a touchdown. And Christian Watson with a touchdown catch. Justin Herbert of the Chargers, 260 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He also had 73 rushing yards. Keenan Allen had 10 catches for 116 and a touchdown. So the Packers, they go to 4-6. They win a nail-biter. The defense made great plays with 12 minutes left at the 2-yard line. They're backed up to the goal line. They forced Austin Eckler to fumble the ball, which would have been a potential touchdown. And then with 2 minutes to play, the defense sacked Herbert on 3rd and 10, made another great play. They got their second sack of the game doing that. And and then with 23 seconds left, they stopped the 4th and 1. So credit to them, and also credit to Jordan Love. He didn't turn the ball over. I said in my picks in the video I made before this, I said he was going to turn the ball over a couple times, and I was wrong. Their offense had 404 total yards. They ran the ball for 102. They were 7-14 on third down, and like I said, no turnovers. And And the Chargers, they really should have won this game. I said that in the previous video too. This is a game that they should win, but they'll probably lose. And they lost in the most Chargers fashion. The offense, 410 yards, 150 rushing yards, 7 of 14 on third down. But the fumble at the goal line, and then the wide receivers had drops, especially the young rookie wide receiver, Quentin Johnson, wide open. If he caught the ball, he probably took it to the house, went right through his hands. It's just unfortunate. And as for the defense, they had 3 sacks, but, they couldn't force a turnover. They gave up 400 plus yards, and they committed a bunch of penalties late in the game, one being 3rd and 20 that gave Green Bay new downs, and that led to the go-ahead touchdown for them. So the Chargers are now 4-6, and it's not looking too bright for them over there in sunny California. Next, the Texans beat the Cardinals 21-16. Rookie C.J. Stroud, 336 passing, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Devin Singletary, 112 rushing and a touchdown. The rookie Tank Dell, 8 catches for 149 and a score. And the tight end Dalton Schultz, a touchdown catch. As for Kyler Murray of the Cardinals, 214 passing, a touchdown and a pick. He also had 51 rushing yards with a score. Rondell Moore had a touchdown catch, and Greg Dortch 6 catches for 76 yards. So the Texans, they're on the move right now. They're 6-4 and they're rolling. Coming into this game, the rookie C.J. Stroud, he threw 2 picks, but in this game he had 3. But like all quarterbacks, they keep their composure and they're able to shake that off and come back with a win. Their offense eclipses 400 more yards again. They had 449 in this game. The run game with 111 yards. Just great on third down, too. They were 9 of 13. The defense made plays as well. 4 sacks, a pick. Great job defending 3rd and 4th down, and their special teams forced a fumble as well. Texans looking more and more dangerous each week. And as for the Cardinals, they had a small first quarter lead of 10-7. They had chances to win, but they couldn't execute correctly. They had 337 yards of an offense, and they ran for 123. However, 3 of 10 on third down, 1 for 4 on 4th down. They failed a 2-point conversion and missed a field goal. They left points off the board, and early in the 4th quarter, the Cardinals' punt returner muffed a punt that the Texans recovered. The defense had 4 sacks, 3 picks. They had a good game, but they gave up close to 450 yards, and they got gashed against both the pass and run. Cardinals shot themselves in the foot, and they dropped to 2-9. The Cowboys, my Cowboys, yeehaw, we beat the Panthers 33-10. Dak Prescott, 189 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Tony Pollard, 61 rushing yards and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb with a touchdown catch. As for the rookie Bryce Young, 123 passing, a touchdown, a pick, and a fumble. Tommy Tremble, the tight end, with a touchdown catch, and Adam Thielen, 8 catches for 74 yards. So the Cowboys, they handle business. They're now 7-3. The offense, 311 total yards, 107 on the ground, 23 first downs, while Carolina only had 13. The defense went nuts, too. They had 7 sacks. They had a fumble, a pick 6, and allowed less than 240 yards for 10 points. And I'm glad they didn't play with their food. They didn't play down to their opponent, and they got in and got out. The Panthers did stick around, though. They were down 17-10 to start the 4th quarter. The Cowboys were able to score, though, with Tony Pollard. The next Carolina drive, pick 6 by Deron Bland, who, with that pick 6, ties an NFL record for 4 pick 6s in a season. So I love seeing that with Deron Bland, a young player, replaced the injured Stephon Diggs. So he's shining right now. And then after the pick 6, Carolina fumbles, and it leads to a Dallas score, and the game just slipped away. Their offense, 233 yards. They were absolutely awful. They ran for 110, but they had all those turnovers, and the defense had no sacks. They had no turnovers, and then the penalties, 8 for 90 yards. The 2 big penalties were at the end of the first half. 3rd and 8 turned into a Dallas first down with a late hit on Dak. The next was a 3rd and 16 where Kevontae Turpin got hit, and it gave him a first down. Both penalties kept the drive alive, and it led to a Cowboys touchdown. Panthers are now 1-9. Next, the Giants beat the Commanders 31-14. The rookie Tommy DeVito, 246 passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Saquon Barkley, 83 rushing yards, 4 catches for 57 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Darius Slayton, 4 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. As for Sam Howell of the Commanders, 255 passing, a touchdown, 3 picks, and a rushing score. Brian Robinson, 73 rushing yards, 7 receptions for 58 yards, and then Jahan Dotson with a touchdown catch. So the Giants sweep their divisional rival on the season. They're now 3-8. The rookie Tommy DeVito, look at him. He's getting his first NFL win, and even though he's a New York Giant, he is a North Jersey boy, so I gotta kind of root for him, you know what I mean? He balled out, you know? The Italian-American went in there and he handled business. Tommy DeVito, you gotta love it. You know, even though I hate the Giants, I'll root for Tommy DeVito. And the Giants, I saw they were a plus 9.5 underdog against the Commanders, which is easy money because the Commanders, they can't score. They haven't beaten anyone by 10 points in forever. The Giants offense, 337 total yards. They had 91 rushing yards and no turnovers. The defense, 4 sacks, 2 fumbles, 3 interceptions. 1 went for 6. The special teams also forced a fumble on a kick return. And I bet New York Giants wish they could play the Commanders every week because they look like Super Bowl contenders when they do. Despite moving the ball for 429 yards and 174 rushing yards, the Commanders had 6 turnovers. Literally, 6 turnovers, that's awful. Against the New York Giants defense, that is very bad. That's mortifying. And speaking of defense, the Commanders defense did have 9 sacks, but they couldn't force a turnover, and they let Tommy D shred them. And a funny stat, the Commanders, they had 28 first downs while the Giants had 13 and the Commanders still lost. New York Giants, they're really the Commanders' kryptonite. Commanders are 4-7. Next, the 49ers beat the Bucs 27-14. Brock Purdy, 333 passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Brandon Ayuk, 5 catches, 157 and a touchdown. Tight end George Kittle, 8 catches, 89 yards and a touchdown, and the running back Christian McCaffrey, 78 yards rushing and a receiving touchdown. As for Baker Mayfield, 246 passing, a touchdown, an interception, and a fumble. Mike Evans had a touchdown catch, and Rachaad White had a touchdown rush. So the Niners improved to 7-3. This was a game they controlled the entire time. They were up 27-7 at the end of the third, and they were just absolutely rolling. Their offense exploded for 448 total yards. They ran for 115. The defense had 4 sacks, 1 pick, 1 fumble, and they shut down the Bucs run game. They just made things for Baker. They made things difficult for Baker all night. And since coming off their bye, Purdy and the Niners seem to have hit their groove again. They got back-to-back beat-down wins against their opponents. And as for the Bucs, their offense really struggled. 312 yards. They ran the ball for only 66 yards, and they had 2 costly turnovers by Baker. And the defense, they had 4 sacks, but they couldn't force a turnover, and they gave up close to 450 yards. Bucs are now 4-6. The next game, the Bills absolutely crushed the Jets, 32-6. Josh Allen, 275 passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Khalil Shakir had 3 catches for 115 and a touchdown. Ty Johnson had a receiving touchdown against his former team. And James Cook, 73 rushing yards and a receiving touchdown. As for Zach Wilson of the Jets, 81 passing yards, a touchdown and a pick. He was benched late in the third quarter for Tim Boyle, who threw for 33 yards, no touchdowns and a pick. And the running back, Breece Hall, 5 catches, 55 yards and a touchdown. So the Bills literally beat the crap out of their division rival in a game that they desperately needed to win to keep their season alive. Bills are now 6-5. And maybe firing their former offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, was the right move. They had 405 total yards of offense, and they ran for 130. They had 22 first downs. They controlled the clock for 36 minutes, while the Jets only had 23 minutes of control time. The defense had one of their best games in a long time. They had 6 sacks, 2 picks, a fumble. They gave up less than 200 yards for just 6 points. And then the special teams, they caused a fumble on the opening kickoff, the first kickoff of the game. They caused a fumble, and that basically set the tone of the entire game. The Jets' offense was beyond miserable, 195 total yards. They couldn't run the ball at all for just 63 yards. They turned the ball over 3 times, and they had 132 total passing yards, but 18 of those passing yards came from a fake punt on 4th down, which was their best play of the game. The offensive line, atrocious yet again. The Jets outscored 16-6 in the first half and then 16-0 in the second half. Wilson got benched, which is what fans wanted to see a while ago. The defense, they had a sack and interception, but they gave up 400-plus yards for 32 points. And you can't blame them, though. Their back is definitely broken from carrying that offense for so long. The offense is just so dreadful. Eventually, your defense is going to get worn out when they keep going on the field. Ironically, the Jets were 4-5 on fourth down, but they were 0 for 11 on third. And while the Bills were in a disarray the last couple of weeks, I can only imagine what is going on inside that Jets locker room. Jets lose their third straight game. They're 4-6, and the postseason is in their rearview mirror, or so it seems. The next game, the Rams beat the Seahawks 17-16. Matt Stafford, 190 passing, a touchdown, a pick. The rookie Puka Nacua, 5 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. And running back Darrell Henderson with a rushing touchdown. As for Geno Smith, 233 passing, a touchdown, no picks. He left at the end of the third quarter with a tricep injury, but he did return with 1:30 left in the fourth quarter. So Drew Lock stepped in for him for a little bit. He threw for just 3 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. DK Metcalf, 5 catches, 94 yards, and a touchdown. So the Rams come off their bye week. They get a win. They're 4-6 now, and they swept their divisional rival on the season. The offense, 272 total yards, 82 rushing. The defense had 2 sacks, 1 pick, and they stopped the run. They trailed 13-0 in the second quarter, but outscored Seattle 17-13 or 17-3 after that. The Seahawks offense, 304 total yards, but they couldn't get a run game going, just 68 yards. The defense had a sack and a pick. But they had some bad luck in this game. There's 12 penalties for 130 yards. Some of them were bull crap. Some of them definitely were phantom calls, especially late in the fourth quarter. And then you have to look at Geno Smith. He left with an injury. Drew Lock comes in, and he can't get a first down. He throws an interception in the middle of the fourth quarter. That leads to a Rams go-ahead field goal. Go-ahead field goal for the Rams. And then Geno Smith enters with 1:30, drives downfield, tries to win the game. They get so close, but the kicker missed what would have been a game-winning 55-yard field goal. And it's an unfortunate way to lose, but it's how the cookie crumbles. The Seahawks are 6-4. Next, the Broncos beat the Vikings 21-20. Russell Wilson, 259 passing, a touchdown, no picks. Cortland Sutton, 4 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. Josh Dobbs of the Vikings, 221 passing, a touchdown, a pick. He also had a rushing score and a fumble. And then the tight end Josh Oliver with a touchdown catch. So the Broncos win their 4th straight game. They are now 5-5. The offense, 305 total yards, only 46 rushing yards, but they played turnover-free football. The defense had 2 sacks, 2 fumbles, and 1 pick. The defense has turned it around this season completely. The offense has as well. It's Russell Wilson looks like his old self. He's not looking like the Russell Wilson of last year, and we all need to owe Russell Wilson an apology for bashing him so badly last year for his performance. Him and Sutton are a lethal duo right now. Sutton has 8 touchdowns on the season already. Sutton also made a crazy fourth and 3 catch, and then on that same drive, he caught the game-winning the game-winning touchdown late in the fourth quarter. And can the Broncos make a playoff push? If they keep playing like this, it's very possible. As for the Vikings, their offense, 396 total yards. They ran for 175, but they had 3 total turnovers. The first turnover happened within the first 2 minutes of the game. Josh Dobbs fumbles. It gives the Broncos 3 points from a field goal. Their second turnover, it occurred with slightly under 3 minutes to go in the third quarter when the running back, Alexander Mattison, fumbled. He fumbled in Broncos territory at the 35-yard line. The Broncos then turned that into a field goal. And then the third turnover, Dobbs was picked off at his own 20-yard line early in the fourth quarter. Broncos, guess what they do? They get another field goal out of that. So those 3 turnovers by the Vikings gave 9 points to the Broncos. And the defense for the Vikings, 2 sacks. They couldn't generate a turnover, though, and they sold on that final drive. They committed a penalty on 4th and 3 with that insane Cortland Sutton one-handed catch, and then it led to his touchdown moments later, like I said. And the Vikings' 5-game win streak comes to an end. The Josh Dobbs insanity run sadly comes to a halt, and they are now 6-5. The final game, the Monday night game, the Eagles beat the Chiefs 21-17. Jalen Hurts, 150 passing, no touchdowns, 1 pick. He also had 2 rushing scores. DeAndre Swift, 76 rushing yards and a touchdown, and Devontae Smith, 6 catches for 99 yards. As for Patty Mahomes of the Chiefs, 177 passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Travis Kelce had a touchdown catch, but he also fumbled the ball. And then Justin Watson with a touchdown catch. So the Eagles advanced to 9-1 with a win from this past Super Bowl's matchup, and they get it done on Monday Night Football. They overcame a 17-7 halftime deficit in a rainy game on the road in Arrowhead after they come off of their bye. The offense, 264 total yards with 114 rushing. Nothing really that crazy, but they outscored the Chiefs 14-0 in the second half. The defense had a sack, an interception, a fumble, and allowed 17 points. And the Eagles found another way to win a game that they should have lost. So, Eagles fans, calm down, though. Stop acting like you guys beat them in the Super Bowl, which we all know that didn't happen. And yes, everyone's calling me, oh, you're just a salty Cowboys fan, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not salty. They're my division rival. I'll bash them until the day I die. They bash the Cowboys every second I get, so you know what? You're never going to see me give them credit. Like, sure, I can respect them at times, but give them credit and love? No. This is the NFC East. It ain't happening. As for the Chiefs, though, they had this game in the bag, but they gave it to the Eagles. The Patrick Mahomes pick in the end zone, and then Travis Kelce fumbled at the Eagles' 10-yard line early in the fourth quarter. Those two red zone turnovers wiped away a potential 14 or 6 points for the Chiefs. And can't forget about the Chiefs wide receivers. They had a case of the drops, especially Marquez Valdes-Scantling dropped a wide open touchdown with 1:45 left in the game. If he didn't have Butterfingers, this would have been an easy touchdown that potentially seals a victory for the Chiefs. But I get it was rainy and slippery outside. But, you know, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he's done this before a few times in the past. Their offense, 345 total yards and a good running game for 168. But like I said, 2 turnovers deep in Eagles territory and the wide receiver drops stopped them from getting a victory. The Chiefs offense ranks in the bottom tier of the league for second half scoring. It's hard to believe this, but this is the 3rd straight game where they had no second half points. In 8 games this season, the Chiefs scored 7 or less points in the second half, and they just need better wide receivers because what they have right now, it ain't it. And as for their defense, they had 5 sacks, a pick, and allowed less than 270 yards. However, they disappeared in the second half. I don't know where they went. They did a Houdini. They just whoosh, vanished. The Chiefs are now 7-3 as they come off their bye. So that's it for the Week 11 recap. Let me know what you guys think was your favorite game, your least favorite game. Did your favorite team win? Did they lose? Just give me your thoughts. I love feedback. And don't forget, subscribe to this exact YouTube channel. Follow me on my Instagram page down below. Take care and enjoy the rest of your week.